So somehow we do have another pay-per-view this weekend, my friends. It's All Out 2024, and I just want to talk about Swer Strickland versus Hangman Adam Page, which is now an unsanctioned cage match. The reason I want to get into this is because on AEW Dynamite, Swer Strickland, we learned with Prince Nana, had bought the childhood house he was brought up in using the money that he got from his new AEW contract, and fair play to that guy. So much ridiculous discourse about how much money wrestlers are earning. Give them even more. And when Hangman Adam Page found about this, he must have Google mapped it. Thank goodness he went to the right house and he burned it down. And it's just the best angle I have seen in so damn long, because this is what I want from my wrestling. And I don't want to get too distracted here. I may even do a whole video on this. But bravo to WWE for doing a story about a bracelet. And bravo to AEW for doing a story about arson. I love it all. This is why professional wrestling is so good. You wouldn't be able to find this in any other walk of life. So it gets a couple of thumbs up from me. Now, the reason it has become an unsanctioned match is because Tony Khan did a tweet with hashtags. I love it when people are talking about serious stuff and they throw in hashtags. We cannot possibly sanction this match because, again, a lot of crime going on. So rather than arrest these men, who have both committed crimes, by the way, they're both as bad as each other. They're not haters. This is a revenge feud. We will let you have the fight in our building, but it's not sanctioned. And I actually think that's really smart. Now, how on earth they outdo the Texas Death Match, I do not know, but they're going to, because they wouldn't have agreed to this if they didn't think they could escalate things. And the program itself has escalated because now we have attempted murder, essentially. You don't know there wasn't anybody in that house. And they will have an idea, I guess, which is kind of scary. I'm kind of terrified. But I love this idea. This is why I want them to do it. This is more me just following my heart rather than a prediction. Hangman Adam Page should win, because of course he's lost and he's lost and he's lost. He can't beat Swerve. And Strickland can then walk out and go, yeah, sure, you got the better of me this time, but it was unsanctioned, buddy. So look in the record books, it doesn't count. And Hangman Adam Page can become even more unhinged. I love this feud. I think it should be like the Batman and the Joker. I think there are similarities to The Rock and Steve Austin. Like, people go, oh, how dare you say such a thing. I'm not saying they're as big as stars. I'm not saying they made as much money. I'm not saying that they had an impact on culture as much as those two. But in terms of being two people that can just keep coming back together, and you're like, oh, this doesn't get boring. It doesn't get boring at all. In fact, I want to see more of it. Absolutely, you can throw them in the same bucket, and that's not a bad thing. People should want to try and ape these people. It's like when all the crazy ones went, oh, LA Knight just feels like a merger of The Rock and Stone Cold. Oh, well, terrible people to try and copy. What an absolute moron. But I think Hangman Adam Page should win after an absolute war, just so that we can get to Dynamite the week after and Swerve can laugh at him. He should even have a book in his hand. He should go, I don't know the dates, but Texas Death Match I won, this match I won, and then we get to September the 6th or whatever it is. Now, you won, but it ain't in here, so no one's going to remember. And then Hangman's going to have to murder his family. That's what you have to do if you want to keep leveling things up. And Tony Khan still won't arrest anyone, right? Nobody will ever be arrested, which is why we have a crime counter on ups and downs over on What Culture. I love this. I think it's been fantastic. And I think AEW's been really smart to have this in their back pocket, because doing 2 pay-per-views in 2 weeks is borderline nuts. But look, the rest of the card is pretty damn good. I would say that I care less about it just because I want to get to this match. You could do this match first, second, third, fourth, and last, and I'd be like, you know what, it's good with it, but I'm going with the Hangman. And we'll just jump to Bryan Danielson versus Jack Perry for the World Heavyweight Championship. I like the fact that we're doing this with Jack Perry. Either Tony Khan thinks it's going to be good for Jack Perry's future, or Bryan Danielson wants to work with him before he retires. Both of these are totally fine. Jack Perry is never going to win. Bryan Danielson can get a victory, and that can just be nice. Again, if we're only going to have a boring, snore 2-week build, just pick somebody that is going to improve by being in the ring live on pay-per-view, which would be Mr. Perry, and just let them go at it for 15 to 20 minutes. There's nothing wrong with this. If we had decided to make Jack Perry the guy to retire Bryan Danielson, there's a big conversation around that, but even then you could make the case that if AEW is actually going to get behind him, he should be a candidate. This ties back into the damn streak, WrestleMania 30, but I don't want to go down that road. But I think it's perfectly fine. I think it will be a serviceable match. I think it'll be nice that Bryan Danielson actually gets back-to-back wins, which never happens. And once again, kudos to AEW, because they must have had this in the back of their minds. Because at Anakin in the Arena, I thought it was really weird that Jack Perry hit Bryan with the knee and beat him for the 1, 2, 3, but that rhymed. So I should have known there was truth in the matter. And it looks like it's going to tie into something with the Young Bucks, because they're now going to have the tag team match with Wheeler Yuta and Claudio Castagnoli. Listen, man, I'm never going to get mad about Claudio getting onto a card. I just think he's underrated to this day. And the other reason that I think All Out kind of gets a pass, because of these quick turnarounds, is you can just throw ridiculous matches on there. And I'm like, yeah, fine, cool. It's not like you were going to bring anything else to me in the short amount of time we did have. So Bryan Danielson will win. The Young Bucks will beat the BCC in the tag team title match. And then, yeah, maybe we come back together. Maybe Bryan Danielson wants to do a one-on-one match with Matt Jackson and Nick Jackson. I don't know. But I have no problem with this. And it's going to be no jeopardy to it whatsoever. You can argue that's good. You can argue that's bad. But again, let's say we do put this in the semi-main event position, because it's been confirmed that the cage match, the Swerve Hangman match, will be a last. If Bryan Danielson comes before that, cool. We get through it. We have a good time. And then we move on to what could be my most anticipated match of the year. I just don't know what they're going to do. I mean, I'm talking about it again, and we've already done it. We're also getting Willow Nightingale versus Chris Statlander in a street fight. Now, I've been super duper excited for this, because I think those two have done really good work since the time they fell out. It's not for the CMLL Women's Championship, and I don't know why. It's already been confirmed that Willow is going to a CMLL show very soon to defend that, and it's not determining on the outcome here. So that's a little bit of a disappointment, just because AEW did make a big deal out of it. So I think if you're not going to be able to compete in matches, kind of not get it. She can wear it because it looks good if someone's got gold, but I wouldn't have shone such a spotlight on it. That kind of rubbed me the wrong way because I'm a strange guy. But I kind of feel like Chris Statlander needs to win this one, because it feels like Willow has had the upper hand throughout her feud. But then, surely she deserves a CML championship match. I don't know. I don't want Willow to just win, because I don't think you can go back to this, especially because it's a street fight. I would like to get one more match. I'd like it in a main event of a Dynamite, right? And I'd love you to give it the last 20 minutes of TV time and really let these guys cook, as we say in 2024, because the Stokely-Chris partnership as well is super duper good. Willow Nightingale's a tremendous babyface. And I do kind of feel like this has been lost in the shuffle a little bit, only because at All In, the weird tag match was on the pre-show. That was still fun, and we didn't necessarily focus on it as much as I would have liked to on Dynamite, because maybe there wasn't enough time. But this is definitely underrated, and it's under the radar, and I think whatever we do as the blow-off, maybe in 6 weeks or whatever, deserves a bigger spotlight on it. So I would say have Chris Statlander win here, and then have Willow Nightingale win the next one, and then we probably do have to move on. This is the problem with having so many people on the roster. Sometimes people do get left behind, and that shouldn't happen to these two, because they're brilliant. But again, it's difficult, because they're going to go crazy, right? And there's probably going to be loads of blood and loads of violence, because Willow Nightingale's done that before. She's like a veteran female street fight performer. But once again, I'm doing it. I'm circling back round. It's not going to be as crazy as the cage match, mostly because it can't be, given everything. So I would wham this up to the start of the card. Let them go crazy. Don't let them hold back or anything, because that will be a disappointment to what AEW fans expect. But, yeah, don't have it anywhere near that cage match, because it won't work. But I'll go for Chris Statlander, because I would like one more of these. And like I say, I think if Willow wins it, we are done with all of it. And Stokely Hathaway can cheat. That's fine. That's what he's there to do. And, I don't know, maybe Willow goes and loses the CMLL Women's Championship to whoever she's facing. I can't remember. You'll have to forgive me. And we move on. But I'm glad it's on the card. But let's make more noise coming out the other side. Because in terms of 2024, these two have kind of been great. Okada will also be defending his Continental title. And I need to get my phone out for this, because it's a bit weird. I believe on Collision, which airs on Friday, to tomorrow if you're watching this, we're getting Takeshita versus the Beast Mortos, will be very good. We get Orange Cassidy versus Brian Keith, also will be very good. And Mark Briscoe versus Lance Archer, which is also going to be very good. Now, I have to assume that it will be Takeshita, Cassidy, and Briscoe and Okada. I wouldn't mind if Brian Keith got snuck in there. I wouldn't mind that at all, because you can have the learning tree screw over Orange Cassidy. But either way, I don't think, even if you take every single person here, Lance Archer, no. Mark Briscoe, no. Brian Keith, no. Orange Cassidy, no. Takeshita, maybe, but probably not. And the Beast Mortos. It's just not the time to take that belt off Okada at the moment, because I think when you do that, well, a couple of things really. We probably need to get back to the Ospreay match. We probably need Omega to come back, and there'll be some other people I'm not thinking about too. Maybe a Ricochet. Maybe Ricochet should be the guy to take that off him, actually. That would be interesting. But I've said this on Ups and Downs. Okada is my favorite version of Okada, and people got really mad at me and sent me mean messages, but it's okay. You're allowed your opinion. But you know I like Goofy Wrestling for Life. I'm wearing a Hardest Part of the Ring t-shirt right now to prove it. ProWrestlingTees.com/Simon Miller. Buy one and make me happy. Rubs my ego. But the fact he did that Aussie punch thing while saying oi, oi, oi on Dynamite. Listen, the New Japan version of Okada is one of the best wrestlers ever, but I've had that. I had that for 10 years or whatever it was, and I saw him in some of the best matches I've ever seen in my life, and I felt happy with that. But then when I went to the Dynamite Live in Cardiff and saw his match with Claudio, I'm like, oh, he's still doing it, but he also makes me laugh. Why wouldn't I prefer that? And some people just don't like their wrestlers to have a comedic side. More power to you, I do. But again, I just think the fact it's a 4-way, it's there just to be super fun and get the Continental Championship featured on a pay-per-view, which I think is good. Keeps that title important, although we do have way too many titles. But Okada wins. And if we don't do that, I think we're absolutely nuts. And it's the same for Will Ospreay versus Pac for the International Championship. This is probably going to be the best match on the card in terms of what you expect from such a fight. I saw them do it years ago at Rev Pro. Not sure if they fought again, but I may be totally wrong. Will Ospreay, obviously, in terms of the style that he brings to the table, and in general, to be honest, one of the best wrestlers in the world, and Pac is right up there. If you want to say they're 1 and 2, cool. There are probably some other guys I'm not thinking of right now, but they'd all be smushed together. Like, Pac doesn't get the love that he deserves. I mean, he's so good. Everything he does is effortless. And I actually think in terms of execution, he may be number 1. Again, maybe there's some people I don't know about and I need to educate myself a bit more. But in terms of people I see all of the time, I'm just so happy with doing this match. It's a shame we couldn't do it at All In, but Pac still got his moment and the MJF Ospreay match ruled, and we are getting it here. Give them 30 minutes, right? Give them 30 minutes and just let them fly. If you want to do a draw, I don't mind that either. When was the last time Will Ospreay did a draw? I don't think he has done a draw, has he? He probably has done Okada or something like that. You know what? Because it's a prediction show, I'm going to have some fun. Let them be a draw, and then they can do it again. And also, I would love that for Pac, right? As you can probably tell, I'm a massive Pac fan. I think he's super duper wonderfully fantastic. And if he does go head to head with Will Ospreay, someone who is being presented as a megastar, he does get a draw before he obviously loses the rematch. And you can do it on Dynamite too. I actually think people would tune in for that. So once again, I'm not really going for the predictions here that I think Tony Khan is going to do. I'm massively following my heart, but why not? Sometimes you got to do that. Life is all about love. But I think I think you should do a draw. Make it a 30-minute draw. I make the last 10 seconds the greatest thing I've ever seen in my life. And also that would pay off what happened on Dynamite when we did the whatever the hell it match it was. I can't remember now. And Justin Roberts said 1 minute remaining to make you go, they're going to do a draw. And they didn't. They should do that in... You don't have to do it every match. It'd be better if you did, but just make sure you do it once a show to put in people's brains, oh yeah, I forgot the time limit, and then you're never going to know, right? So, for no reason whatsoever, I'm going to say that one is a draw. Is that a stupid prediction? Yes. We also get MJF versus Daniel Garcia. Actually, the most interesting match, probably on the card in terms of winners and losers, because Daniel Garcia needs this win. This is his big breakout match to prove he can hang at that level. But he can hang, but he has to be put in that position as the star as MJF is. But MJF would then lost twice on the bounce. He lost it All In. He's losing 2 weeks later. Now, you can do that as long as you've got a great story for him, and as they say, he gets his heat back. But it's also, I want to say it's a big risk. I don't think it's going to affect him. I think he's too big of a star and he's too good on a microphone. But you are treading on new ground. We don't know how people are going to react to this. I still think you have Adam Cole coming back. He can go back into that MJF program now. I mean, Adam Cole would have to be the babyface, but who's going to get mad about that? Adam Cole's the most wonderful person on the planet. So I think it's worth testing the waters, and I think we should try and turn Danny Garcia into something, especially because I believe he's about to sign a new contract. And if you're going to pay him a lot of money, you must believe in him, but he can't keep losing the big match. Otherwise, people will see him as a loser. Not in a bad way, but it's Dolph Ziggler syndrome. And Dolph is the first person to talk about this, Nick Nemeth. If you get put in that position too much, fans just get conditioned that that is where you're always going to be. And you don't want that. And there is this sort of line where you have to make sure things change. I don't think we're quite there for Daniel Garcia, but I also don't know why we would wait around. If you have decided to do the MJF match, there is a story coming out of that. Oh my gosh, MJF has lost back-to-back matches, and oh my gosh, Daniel Garcia said he was going to kill this guy, and he absolutely did. And listen, Daniel Garcia can punch him in the face, not necessarily with the diamond rings, we can't find it, but with a weapon, because MJF has bludgeoned him over and over again and left him lying bloodied twice. So the babyface now is well within his rights to be like, excuse me, you have lowered the tone so much, I'm going to join you down here in these depths, because as I've already said, I want you to have a child, and I want you to have to tell him that Daniel Garcia retired you. So if he does do something a bit dirty, and you go, I can't believe you did that, you weren't watching the show, and you weren't listening to what he was going to say. That also allows Maxwell to come out and say, this wasn't fair, which would make him a hypocrite and apparently a duck. So I'm going to go with Daniel Garcia. I think we have to look long term here. MJF is established for life. Daniel Garcia is almost there, but we got to say to everyone that we're doing it now. Doesn't matter if we get 6 months down the line, it doesn't work. Who cares? You tried, right? Throw things at the wall. Things, if they work, and they don't work, just move somebody else into that position. And given who else I have said on this card, I think we need some babyface wins. DG. And oddly, that means we end with Mercedes Moné versus Shida, which I did not mean to do. But Camille is banned from ringside. Very excited. I predicted this for All In. And they keep teasing this too. Maybe they're doing it on purpose, but the Renegade Twins keep sort of praising their allegiance to Mercedes Moné for no reason. So given that Camille is barred, I hope they get involved and the Monet Corporation or whatever it's called grows. Then you can have Camille and you can have the Renegade Twins, which just rock. Robin and Charlotte. Nothing to do with me, but I've enjoyed them massively ever since AEW Dark. And I actually got to have a chat with them at a WrestleMania and we just shared a big old wrestling, which I enjoyed massively. So I am slightly biased, but I just think they're underrated talents too. But you don't want to take the title off Mercedes Moné at the moment. You can screw over Shida, that's totally fine. Loving this news, Shida is the ace in the face of AEW. She deserves that. She's been there since day one and she never has bad matches. I think Mercedes Moné has found her place in AEW now. I find her very entertaining. This is the right character for her. And yeah, she just makes me laugh in the way. She's like the female version of Okada in many ways, which is no bad thing. And I suppose the only really weird thing here is what happened to Britt Baker, who disappeared off the face of the planet. Again, talked about this on Dynamite, ups and downs. It didn't go exactly to plan. I didn't think it was a disaster. I thought it was okay when really it should have been all time, but it happens. You can't expect everything to be a home run. I'm literally repeating what I've said on other videos, but sometimes you try, and I don't want to call it a failure because it wasn't. There were some really good moments, but it didn't click in the way that it was intended, and then Moné just won. All right, big deal. I still think you should take the good out of it. You don't have to carry on the feud if you do want to pivot. That's what a smart wrestling company should do. But Mercedes Moné should have reveled in it a little bit, and quite clearly something has gone down, and we've hit the pause button. Mostly, I just hope everyone is okay, because Britt Baker did go through all those medical stuff. I don't want anyone to be injured or hurt ever. That would suck. But Mercedes Moné should retain here. Does that mean I haven't changed any championships? Will Ospreay will keep his. The Young Bucks will keep his. Oh, no. Okada will keep his, and Mercedes will keep hers, and Bryan Danielson will keep his. So I'm saying no title changes, but that's okay. You don't want to change a title all the time, and I think we changed quite a lot all in. Change the world title, change the women's title. There's probably something else. Oh, we changed the trios title. So yeah, we can balance it out, man. It's totally cool. But there's probably going to be a few more matches added too, because Tony Khan loves doing that. But I'll stick with these 8. I imagine we'll get to 10. I can't even think about who else it would be. But I'm happy with those 8. Now, as always, let me know your predictions below. I always check it out. And if someone gets all of them right, you get a message from me. Wow, great for you. Like the video, share the video and subscribe. Click my video on the screen where I'm talking about Monday Night Raw and the bits that made me laugh. That's the level of content we're talking about now. If you're into fitness, please do go to grillandmind.com/Simon. You go to Simon to get 10% off, sometimes even more. It will tell you on the website. Put that code in and I get a little bit of a kickback here too, which always helps the Simon Miller Enterprise Empire, which I hate saying somebody kill me. Same with the GoGo Fitness. Just search for a GoGo Fitness and use the code of GoGo20. Otherwise, patreon.com/Simon316, Simon316 on Instagram, Twitter, and whatever the other social medias are. Simon J. Miller on TikTok, Simon Miller on Cameo. Come and get your birthday message or your Christmas message, your Hanukkah message, or just a pep talk, whatever you would like. Again, stupid t-shirts at prowrestlingtees.com/Simon Miller. But otherwise, enjoy the pay-per-view, my friends. I mean, it is more money, which kind of sucks, but if you enjoy it, then it's money well spent. See you soon.